Nothing oozes more charm than a video game Easter egg. The practice started in earnest with the rudimentary depiction of a McDonald's of all things, has since become a trademark in the industry at large. Love letters of the most endearing kind, their discoveries almost always left for players to discover organically. That said, there's always an exception to the rule, as some secrets are so well hidden that they go undiscovered for years or even decades. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are the 10 most important video game Easter eggs of all time. Number 10. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Listen to the music. Up there is one of the most memorable Easter eggs of the 90s, Konami got oh so creative with this musical number. Back when physical media reigned supreme and people still used an antiquated form of audio storage called compact disc, Symphony of the Night's most well-hidden secret had some hefty hardware requirements for the time. To access a bonus track, it never received an official name beyond Alucard number 2, owners of the OG PlayStation Metroidvania title needed to insert the game disc into any device which was capable of reading and playing music, and then skip to track 2. Upon thumbing the play button, none other than Alucard's voice would spill from the speakers, recognizing the incorrect use of a PS1 disc and stressing that it be returned to its rightful home in your console. Ignoring his protestations for long enough would eventually yield a reward in the form of a remixed Castlevania theme. Because of course it would happen, the discovery of Symphony of the Night's Easter egg would prompt PS1 owners the world over to fruitlessly try their luck with every game they owned, hoping for similar results. Number 9. Doom 2016 Retro Replay. Last decades, yes, it has been that long already, soft reboot of Doom is filled to the brim with blood, sweat, and love. So much love that id Software decided to essentially pack 2 games onto one disc as a love letter to fans of the franchise. Granted, one of these took up roughly 2.3 megabytes of disk space, but we all know size isn't everything. That measly space requirement materialized in the form of the original Doom, its entire suite of stages available as hidden Easter eggs throughout Doomguy's 2016 adventure. Accessing each retro demon-killing gauntlet required locating otherwise ordinary levers and giving them a good yank. Doing so would swing open the door to a nostalgic trip down memory lane, complete with environments untouched since the 90s. To spice things up a touch, it replaced the original enemies with their modern counterparts, allowing next-gen Doomguy to relive his golden years, one pixelated corridor at a time. To this day, it's hard not to wonder what younger generations unaware of Doom's heritage made of the bonus stages. Was it a fever dream? A bizarre bug causing the game to crap itself? No, this is Doom, baby! Number 8. Dead Space. Nicole is dead. Visceral Games, that crafty suds, spoiled the big twist in their own game long before the fact. Not that you'd know it, the means of delivery is so obscure that only the linguistic equivalent of John Nash would pick up on the revelation without prompt. At face value, each of the 12 chapters that make up Dead Space's whole are wholly inconspicuous allusions to upcoming story beats. Only upon further scrutiny, and arguably only in hindsight, does the hidden acrostic emerge to slap you around the chops. Plucking the first letters of every chapter name from their respective positions and placing them together forms the rather telling phrase, Nicole is dead. Isaac Clarke spends the entirety of Dead Space believing an individual he's been interacting with aboard the USG Ishimura is his long-lost partner of the same name, only to discover the bitter truth towards its climax. That Visceral were brave enough to even allow players to discern the truth well ahead of the big reveal is commendable. Above all else, though, the phrase eliminates the ambiguity of Nicole's fate as presented in the game proper. The girl is deader than a doornail. Number 7. Metal Gear Solid Save Reader. I see that you enjoy Konami games. Well, Psycho Mantis, that depends entirely on what era of Konami games you're referring to. If you've seen Metal Gear Survive, then probably not that one for most of us. Nevertheless, you weren't to know how far Metal Gear's publisher would fall in the future, and truthfully, it's thanks to Kojima that we got Metal Gear Solid's most memorable Easter egg. The Foxhound member's ability to read console save data is legendary for its fourth wall-breaking nature. Its meta vibes since becoming a hallmark of Kojima's reputation as an auteur. Mantis has far too much contextual dialogue to list here, but suffice it to say that hearing him mention Super Mario Sunshine, GameCube remake only, remains a favourite purely for its surreal nature. It was all fun and games until the telepath started moving your controller with nothing but the power of his mind. Read Rumble Pack. Scary stuff. There's another more clever Metal Gear entry to come, surprise, surprise, but this will always be the OG, which kickstarted Kojima's penchant for messing with his audience. Number 6, Moonlander, the first of its kind. Moonlander has accolades coming out its ears. It's the first game to depict a rudimentary human, and debatably the first to feature a cutscene. It also, contrary to what Ready Player One would have you believe, contains the earliest example of a video game Easter egg. Jack Burness created the 1973 classic, which required a light pen to play over 10 days, resulting in an experience that clearly inspired From Software's love of difficulty, because Moonlander is really freaking hard. Gameplay follows the same formula as similar Lunar Lander titles, but with a twist. The presence of multiple perspectives at the time was revolutionary, allowing for greater precision when attempting to safely land the titular spacecraft. There's one landing zone in particular though that we're interested in, and that's the one with a McDonald's on standby to provide nourishment to our hungry astronaut. By maneuvering far enough horizontally across multiple screens, the Maccas will pop up on the horizon. Sticking the landing will prompt our little guy to leave his spaceship and order a Big Mac. Alternatively, if you feel like being an anarchist, you can destroy the fast food joint by flying your shuttle straight into the building. But food is scarce on the moon, so it's probably not the best idea. Number 5, Donkey Kong, Landon M. Dyer. The nature of Donkey Kong's best-kept secret isn't novel. Rather, its exceptional nature lies in how long the Easter egg remained hidden. Landon M. Dyer, a programmer who worked on Nintendo's landmark Man vs. Monkey arcade hit, managed to escape the Big N's gaze during development and insert his initials into the code. The ultimate act of subterfuge, Dyer's digital signature went unnoticed for over 2 decades, only becoming common knowledge when the man himself clued fans in on its existence. Then again, considering the steps required to lay eyes on the Easter egg, obscurity is a given. No offense to Dyer, but replicating the process is not worth the effort whatsoever, which requires, among other things, the player to register a specific score, intentionally kill themselves on a particular difficulty, then wait patiently on the menu screen for several minutes to see if the protocol was followed correctly. Still want to give it a shot? Assuming all the pieces fall into place, the reward for all that effort will be the presence of LMD on Donkey Kong's title screen. Told you it wasn't worth it, but respect to the guy. Number 4, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, The End of Vulcan. Metal Gear Solid 3's Easter treat is twofold. The first, most well-known secret involves Snake knocking off the end without raising a finger. The End is a centurion who's somehow still able to fire a sniper rifle without breaking every bone in his shoulder, and it turns out that he will die of old age if the player saves, exits the game, and waits a week of real time. Upon reloading the save, Snake will sneak up on the End's age-ravaged body to discover he got bored of waiting and copped it. The same effect can be achieved by manually tinkering with your console's internal clock, but there's no such workaround for the second, more obscure Easter egg. After being caught, imprisoned, and tortured by Vulcan, the same save, quit, and reload process will plonk players in control of Snake during a dream sequence. This Cuckoo Land is Guy Savage, a surreal game within a game that ditches Metal Gear's usual stealth trappings, the hack and slash mayhem. The only objective here is to kill enough zombies, it's always zombies, to snap Snake out of his stupor and back to reality. Typically, when Hideo Kojima was asked the reason for Guy Savage's inclusion, he replied with, "What game?" Classic, absolutely classic. Number 3, Destiny 2, Rasputin ARG. Back in the dark ages of Destiny 2, Bungie, in need of help to deliver content to a hungry player base, enlisted the help of High Moon Studios to create Warmind. Fortunately, the second DLC proved a much-needed kick up the backside after Curse of Osiris failed to excite. Much of the former's success comes from an incredible ARG, that is, augmented reality game. This was an Easter egg that sent the community into a tizzy. Truthfully, the entire saga is far too complex for us to properly relay, but the TLDR is that players had to collectively decipher numerous cryptic messages and codes that were plastered across monitors and walls in-game. These disparate pieces of information needed to be made legible with a cipher, yielding a set of coordinates which led to a real-world location. With no knowledge of what they'd find, Reddit user I Love Science ventured to the marked location, which is Sleeping Beauty Mountain in Albany, New York. For their efforts, I Love Science was rewarded with a cache of Destiny-themed booty and a logbook for others willing to make the journey to sign. Number 2, Trials Evolution. Riddle me this. If you thought Bungie and High Moon's hijinks with Warmind went above and beyond, then you ain't seen nothing yet. This is wild. Slimming the absurdity of this tall tale to 200 words is pretty darn impossible. The full story is like essay length, but here are the critical story beats. Following the release of Trials Evolution, players discovered numerous references to real-world locations and events. Upon deciphering the specific locales that were being referred to, several individuals set out to investigate further. 5 keys, one each in Finland, Australia, North America, and the UK, were unearthed, with the final clue pointing to Paris, France. Classic Ubisoft. To date, no key has been found here, but a message included with the other 4 reads midday in the year 2113, first sat in Org. One of 5 keys will open the box underneath the Eiffel Tower. Nope, that was not a flub on the date. The final piece of Trials Evolution's generation-spanning mystery won't be unveiled for almost another century. How exactly the puzzle's creator intends to finish what they started long after they've been buried 6 feet under remains to be seen, but gamers in the 22nd century are certainly in for a treat when the date finally rolls around. Number 1, the Konami Code. What began as a simple cheat code in 1986's Gradius would ultimately become gaming's greatest Easter egg, bar none. Of all the entries on this list, the Konami Code is the only one to have transcended its native medium and infiltrated mainstream pop culture. The input, of course, being up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, has become synonymous with and popularized the concept of cheats, been referenced by global institutions, and it's been paid homage to more times than anyone can count. Fortunately for everyone that isn't Konami, the code can't be copyrighted, meaning it's cropped up in places you wouldn't expect for many years now. Epic Games locking a minigame behind the string of inputs in Fortnite is probably the most high-profile example, but other contemporaries include BioShock Infinite, Tetris, Dead by Daylight, and pretty much anything published by its namesake. If you got time to burn on the internet today, you can always head to the Konami Code entry on Wikipedia and satisfy your inner procrastination demon by going wild with all the different places you can use that code.